Home Office harassment case and MI5 application. Between 2003 and 2007, I worked for immigration in Kent and northern France. In late 2006, I applied for a job with MI5 and was rejected within 2 weeks. They stated that there were better candidates than me. I made a complaint about my tandem line manager in April 2007 as he was asking junior staff and myself inappropriate questions. I was then victimized for making a complaint. There were provable lies in the harassment case report, and the report seemed to be handing me a constructive dismissal case and investigating me, not the manager. Between this complaint and my MI5 job application, I started to receive odd text messages and a telephone call, and people approached me asking for details, information about myself, who I was, who I worked for, and why I was in the area. I felt I would have a breakdown if I went back to work due to the harassment case report and further bullying from management and HR. Management were aware of this. I asked for 2 career breaks and unpaid leave for 6 months, but both requests were refused. Management and HR said I had to come back to work for 2 weeks before I could take leave. I was AWOL at this point due to the lack of unpaid leave and career breaks, and I found it hard to resign due to a harassment case. The day before I resigned, I called my manager and said, if anything, I would take a move to customs. She asked me if I really wanted that, or did I want MI5, MI6, or DWP. I resigned as I knew I'd have a breakdown if I went back to work. I couldn't talk about MI5 as I had applied for a job with them some months earlier. Also, as far as I know, you have to be vetted. You can't ask to go there. I wouldn't have taken a move, as it would have suggested that I agreed with the lies in the harassment case report and agreed with the corrupt payment previously offered to immigration for bumped-up illegal removal figures from the UK control zone. Also, my doctor told me she wouldn't allow me to go back to work there due to treatment I received from immigration. The day I resigned, I was harassed, intimidated, and my privacy violated by someone I knew out with immigration. He told me I was being moved to Tim's house. He told me other details, which were highly intrusive, and caused me to fear for mine and my mother's safety. He also caused me to believe I had been filmed via my laptop in my own home, and that he was aware of my emails, telephone conversations, and people I had been in contact with. I was told I had had and would have no privacy from him and others, and he said, quote, "We'll see how you get on," unquote. He knew details, past, present, and future, telling me where the training for MI5 was and other details. He said, quote, "Spooks is on tonight," unquote, and that he probably wouldn't see me again. Weeks earlier, this man had walked past me in the street and said under his breath, quote, "Next time run and keep running," unquote. My resignation day was the next time I saw him. I was told information that made me suicidal, paranoid, and forced me into a breakdown. Luckily, I managed to drive the 400 miles to my family in Scotland and seek help with psychiatrists during a necessary hospital stay. At the time, I could only speak to the psychiatrists about what had happened at immigration. They said it sounded like institutional racism and advised me not to return to the Home Office. 15 years later, I still have no answers as to why my privacy was violated beyond a point I could imagine, why I was intimidated and warned off for talking too much. A week before this intrusion, I was asked by an immigration colleague if I'd whistleblow about immigration. In 2009, I sent an email to MI5 giving brief details as follows. I sent an email a couple of weeks ago regarding someone who had an extensive amount of information on myself, which led me to resign for the Home Office. I would like to know if I will receive a reply, as for my own peace of mind, I need to resolve the situation. I felt extremely intimidated by the situation he portrayed to me. He thought I was being transferred to Tim's house, which is why I have sent an email here. I would appreciate knowing who I can contact regarding this concern as I felt extremely violated by this person's intrusion. I personally didn't need to know the level of information I was given. I don't understand why a person would wish to tell me that I was being watched by third parties. It wasn't information I needed to know. It only concerned me that he knew so much, and more so that he told me about knowing so much. At the time, I'd been off with depression and had read extensively about breakdowns, so being told I was being watched was without doubt the worst thing that could have happened to me, along with the negative information he divulged regarding the harassment case I'd just walked away from at work. Whilst during my time at the Home Office, I had limited access to information handling training. I am pretty sure that the rules in place would have avoided me being given information regarding third parties and harassment case details, unless through an official level. As this situation caused me to feel that I should walk away from a career within the Home Office due to the mess it caused for me, I feel it quite serious and something I need to resolve as I wish to apply for positions within the Home Office. If you are not able to help me, I would appreciate a reply to acknowledge that. Thank you. I received this reply. Thank you for your inquiry. As the Security Service is responsible for protecting UK national security, and the matters you describe in your email do not fall within this remit, we regret that we are unable to directly assist you. You are advised to contact the Home Office HR department, whose contact details you should have been given when you left the Home Office, and report your concerns onto them. You should also contact your local police station if you feel you have been intimidated or threatened in any way. Yours, the Inquiries Team, the Security Service. I did go to the police, and eventually, some years later, the police told me that they had contacted MI5, and MI5 said they had no information to give them. HR said there was no reason anyone would have thought I was being moved. HR eventually suggested I query what information this man had access to with citizens' advice. Immigration Management said via correspondence with my MP that it was a data protection issue. I left the Home Office due to abuse and corruption, something I would never have expected from the Home Office. At the time of me making a complaint, I was told by a medical professional that there had been over 100 people in the district come to the attention of the NHS due to harassment cases. Apparently, HR knew there was a huge problem and didn't know what to do about it. When I was at college in London whilst off sick, a girl from the DTI told me that girls who made complaints were blamed, harassed to the point they were broken down and became mentally unwell and a shadow of their former selves, and had to resign. She advised me to get out while I was still sane. 15 years later, no one will admit to knowing about this man who intimidated me and violated my privacy to a point I still find difficult to comprehend. The police, MI5, the Investigatory Powers Tribunal, Immigration, HR and Management, Data Protection from Immigration, and MI5 apparently can't investigate this issue, and it's my problem to deal with. I nearly died, and I know what happened, and the truth has never come out from Immigration or MI5. MI5 say you have to be able to empathize with the people they investigate when you apply. I didn't feel safe in my own home, didn't feel safe to return to work, thought about suicide, was potentially a danger to others, and basically my future was destroyed in connection to a job move I could not have taken and was never offered. I ended up having to leave my mortgaged home, which caused me a financial difficulty as I had to pay for 2 properties, one in Scotland and my flat in Kent. I was nearly facing bankruptcy as I couldn't sell or rent my flat due to negligence from the managing agents, so being forced to move was not in my best interest at the time. I was charged double council tax for about 7 years while my flat was empty. The man who harassed me in 2007, some years later, went on to be a town councillor in the town where my flat was, and the council knew of this. The council weren't concerned that it was unsafe for me to live there. They had a shortage of social housing and had doubled the council tax to force me to rent or sell the property, neither of which I could do due to flooding. I couldn't have made it up if I tried. According to the immigration management via correspondence with my MP, the investigation report was done within policy at the time. They victimized me, and, based on the untrue allegations from two of my managers towards me, I should have been sacked. I reluctantly went to an employment tribunal in 2014, and the Attorney General lied that I hadn't applied for a job at MI5. A few years later, my MP helped me contact the Home Office, and they lied to my MP that the staff I had concerns about, HR and my manager, were no longer employed. This was untrue. I have had several jobs since 2007, but have had to leave each one due to mental health issues, due to the lack of resolution to the incidents in 2007. I have had to accept that I probably won't work again and will never have privacy or my own home with the way things have been left for me. I have sent several emails to MI5 explaining the situation and that their advice didn't get me anywhere. The latest response I got in 2018 was to tell me to go see a doctor if I felt suicidal. A doctor can't tell me why I was driven out of my home, career, and mind. What happened nearly caused my suicide, but the lack of answers and help from the Home Office and MI5 destroyed my future. I was told by the Home Office that HR would investigate my situation. They then said that I should go to the Investigatory Powers Tribunal. MI5 said the police would investigate, but MI5 didn't help the police. I can see how people could end up dead or committing suicide and the truth not come out. If you are harassed, intimidated, driven out of your home and mind for telling the truth at your work, and ever feel suicidal, go and see a psychiatrist, doctor, the police, or a solicitor, and tell them what's been happening. In my experience, harassment was wide-scale and hushed up by management. I was told that if I spoke of the harassment case report, I would be disciplined, and I knew of 3 girls who had been harassed. I heard of a manager who sexually harassed a girl, and he was promoted to the job and location of his choice. Don't commit suicide. Tell your story and get justice, if not only for yourself, but for the others who will go through the same. It's hard, but as an ex-soldier says on Twitter, never give up, never give in. I thought I was brain damaged when I was first in hospital, and I didn't think I'd ever recover from near breakdowns, suicidal feelings, and psychosis. I've had years of therapy to help me. I'll never be normal, but I can at least tell my story and let people know. You are not alone. Far from it, as far as I have been made aware. Someone on Twitter told me he knew of 3 people who had committed suicide at his work due to work-related stress. It's a huge problem, and it needs to be highlighted. I found out at my employment tribunal that I wasn't the first to suffer a breakdown due to a harassment case. This really surprised me, as management and HR did everything possible to force me into a breakdown. My solicitor at the time said, "You are a problem to them. You've done what they wanted by resigning." He told me I was too mentally fragile to go to an employment tribunal at the time. He also told me that they had victimized me, and they shouldn't have done that, and that there were a few anomalies in the harassment case report. I had applied for a job at MI5 months earlier, so I couldn't openly talk about what had happened after my resignation.